Welcome, craft beer friends, to Season 7, Episode 18 of Tap to Craft Podcast. I am Denny Lewis, coming to you from Boise, Idaho, and my partner in craft, the dog whisperer and my favorite Florida man and homebrewer from Tampa, Florida, Mr. Chris McKenzie. How you doing tonight, Chris? And, of course, what is in your glass?
Denny, I'm doing great.
All right.
We're going to have to once again revamp my my intro.
Wait a minute. You're no longer a dog whisperer?
Oh, no, I still whisper.
Oh, you're no longer a Florida man?
No, I'm still that too.
It's just a homebrewer.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, I'm trying to give away all my homebrew stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants it.
Is that right?
Nobody wants it. Well, you know what? And I try to move it on Facebook. Like I try to give it, try to sell it there, $50, $75, whatever I got lying around. Facebook won't let you sell stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Because it's for the manufacture of alcohol.
Oh, okay.
But other than that, I'm doing absolutely fantastic. And
your glass is empty.
My glass? No. It's about to be filled. It's about to be filled with this revision.
Oh, the Glitter Moon.
Green screens. Don't you just love them? But yes, the Glitter Moon.
Yeah, I know that beer well.
Yeah, so the Glitter Moon, it's Glitter Moon with tiny unicorns. It's the Northeast style hazy IPA. And I'm going to fill my B cups, shameless plug, with this delicious revision beer from Reno, which I actually drank revision beer last episode, I believe.
Yeah, you've been drinking a lot of revision beers. I'm glad you're getting them.
Me too. It was the only two that I had in my cooler, but yeah, so all is good. We got some revision in the glass. Denny, what about you? How are you doing, and what is in your glass this evening?
So I'm doing well, and as we hinted in the pre-show, and if you're on Facebook Live, you heard some of the pre-show. I mean, very quick pre-show because now that we're live, I don't want to waste too much time. But I've been home today. I took the day off. It's spring break, and my daughter came to visit, and I thought we were going to spend the day together, but instead she spent it shopping with my wife. So I was left alone at home to kind of figure out what to do.
All by myself.
I decided to drink. Why not? It's a day off. I might as well enjoy. So I started doing some videos, some quick take videos of beer reviews. And so I did two videos and started drinking and had a good time. Hopefully those will get edited and within the next couple weeks, I'll get them out. And you guys can find those on our YouTube page and our webpage. I'll have a link there. But yeah, that's what I was doing. So I kind of was able to raise my blood alcohol content up to about 0.07, 0.08, right around that. I messaged Chris saying, hey, I'm going to be feeling good for this show. But then a couple hours goes by and I kind of came back down off of it. Got a good base meal in my gut. And now I'm drinking some local Boise Brewing Hazy IPA. And this is a great hazy. I've been out of as I mentioned in the Fermented Reality Beercast last episode, I'm kind of getting tired of IPAs. Now I say that, and I'm drinking 2 IPAs tonight, but I go to the store and everything I see on the shelves is IPA. And although IPAs are great, there's times I just want to drink something else and not just have a hoppy IPA. I want to drink some other varieties. So, but because we had some company over last night and they like IPAs, I picked up a 6-pack of this, and they brought a 6-pack of the other IPA I'll be drinking, which is from in a Utah brewery, Roosters. It's the Rooster Tail Hazy IPA. So this one, you can see it's actually, you can't see through. You can't see my head through this beer. So it's actually hazy. When I pour the other one later in the show, you'll see that it's called a hazy IPA, but you can probably see me through it. It's not hazy. Why call it a hazy IPA if it's not really hazy? It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, that's what's going on. That's where I'm at. I really like this Boise Brewing Hazy IPA is really good. I enjoy it. It's about 7%. No, 6.3% ABV. It's right in there at a nice level. And this is the last beer of the 6-pack. Good stuff.
And who was the other one?
The other one's Roosters Brewing out of Ogden, Utah.
Ogden, Utah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that one, I'll show the can now in case I forget to. But Rooster Tail Hazy IPA from Roosters Brewing Company in Ogden, Utah. And then the other beer I'll be drinking, I love this beer. Now, I told you I'm getting tired of IPAs all the time. So Melvin does a really good honey blonde ale, and this is called Killer Bees. And every time I see this in the store, I pick up a 6-pack because I just love drinking this blonde ale that is refreshing and crisp, clean, easy drinking. Doesn't have any hops that are going to make my gut kind of hurt after drinking too many of them. I mean, I drank, I don't know, 4 or 5 IPAs last night, and I'm just like, oh gosh, my gut is kind of feeling it, right? Get that IPA gut.
Yeah.
So you need to change it up. And so I did a video with the Pilsner. I did a video with the Russian Imperial Stout, which leads into our topic tonight. And then now I'm going to have a couple more IPAs and then finish off with that honey bee or Killer Bees honey blonde ale. So yeah.
Now with the blonde ale, any relation to the Wu-Tang Clan?
Maybe. Is that a song from the Wu-Tang Clan? I mean, Melvin's
Killer
pretty
Bees?
progressive in their different things, right? They have a lot
Yeah.
of obscure links to different pop culture stuff. So maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not a big Wu-Tang Clan. Wu-Tang. What is it? Wu-Tang Clan?
Wu-Tang is forever,
Wu-
Denny.
I don't have any shirt with it or anything. I mean, I'm older than that, I guess.
I know, but you've surprised me in some of the things
Well,
that you told me you listened to.
I have no, my music background and tastes are varied across. I mean, all kinds of countries. I even enjoy Indian. Like
Mhm.
I listen to a lot of things that come out of India that are not even in English, right? It's Indian music that they have good rhythm and it just makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I listen to stuff, of course, from Ireland, Scotland. I listen to things from, all over the world, and I listen to classical. I do have some, some rap bands that I like. There's some country bands and groups I like. I like a lot of female artists that, people might see that I listen to whatever, and they're like, why do you listen to that? Well, you know what? There's a time and a place where I'm in a mood to have something that puts me in a different mindset than I currently am. And when I can change up and listen to that, it makes me feel good. So I have a very vast, and there was a point back in my youth when I was in high school and shortly after high school where I strictly listened to punk, early punk.
Yeah.
I mean, like underground punk from the college radio days. And I love them. And I went to concerts that, that some of the concerts I was scared, that I was going to get beat up or killed at these concerts because there's some pretty dangerous guys there, but I never did. And I was in the mosh pits. I was doing stuff that nobody would have. Yeah, there you go. That's
we're getting ready.
Yeah. That nobody would expect me, mild-mannered Denny, to get into and be into. And I enjoy all that music. So there's a little more insight into me. And maybe if I have an opportunity to, give some more, put out some more of these music or these videos that talk about music inspired beers, I can find some other bands that you might be surprised that I enjoy.
Well,
that have beer related
it
stuff.
sounds like your musical tastes are very much like mine. A little bit of everything, from whether it's rap or country or classical, or we could go all day on music, I think.
Yeah. So people are surprised that what I like. Okay. Wow, Chris. Whew, we got off on a little bit of a tangent, but it's okay.
Good thing it's going to be a short show.
It's going to be a short show. So we had to get some filler in there before we start. But before we get too far deep into the beer talk, I always want to let new listeners to the show know what Tap to Craft podcast is all about. We are an educational podcast. We want to talk about craft beer. We want to celebrate everything about craft beer and help you guys along in your craft beer journeys and adventures. And you're listening to episode 174, and we're recording on Monday, March 22nd, 2021. And this episode is pretty much going to be focused on the Russian Imperial Stout style and history.
Okay.
And I was caught off guard when I went back and looked through all of our list of shows that we've never talked about the Russian Imperial Stout. Now we did do a tasting episode where we tasted Old Rasputin. John and I did early in the, I think it was episode 9. We did a tasting notes on that. So if you want to go and listen to John and I talk about Old Rasputin, which is a North Coast brewing beer, go listen to episode 9, and you can kind of get filled in on a tasting notes there. That same episode, we also talked about cellaring beer. Some good beers that if you wanted to cellar and save for a couple years, that would be good. And again, Russian Imperial Stouts or Imperial Stouts are really good beers to save and see how they change over time. So when I found out that we've never done a Russian Imperial Stout episode, I had to do it, and so that's why we're doing it. We're going from, a couple shows ago we went for the Pilsner. Now we're going all the way over and talking about the dark beer, light beer, dark beer, wide spectrum, and the history behind why is it called Russian Imperial Stout? And what's the difference between a Russian Imperial Stout and a regular Imperial Stout? Well, stay tuned, and we will talk about that, as well as some other great beer conversation along the way. Now, before we get started, I just want to let everyone know this episode is brought to you in part by our satisfied Patreon supporters like Mike Allen and William Schlimmer, who are our virtual producers, and Tom Byrne, Jeff Seiler, Johan Halberg, Tara Carlson, Chad Lamassa, Mark Church, Matt Knight, and Kirk Tabor, who want to buy us a virtual beer. And if you enjoy, yes, cheers to you guys. And if you enjoy the content that we provide, we invite you to support us and the show by either toasting your host or buying us a virtual beer, or even being a virtual producer. You can explore the options on our support page by visiting patreon.com/tapthecraft. And if we don't have any feedback, I mean, I've had some feedback, but I probably should have prepared. Johan and I have been chatting back and forth and have a great conversation on email. I did, mention his messages last show, but it's been a conversation between the two of us. I'll leave it at that. But if you want to go and write into the show, you can do that easily by sending us an email at tapthecraft@gmail.com, or if you rather just visit us on social media, we can be found on Twitter and Instagram at tapthecraft. Just leave your comments there, and we can add them to the show. And of course, Chris wants to interact with you on our Facebook page. And if you are on our Facebook page right now watching us live, then you are already interacting with us. Go ahead and write some comments and some questions that you want us to answer as you're watching us live. And Chris, of course, if we're not live, he loves to interact with you, and I do too when I'm on Facebook. But again, I'm not very good at Facebook. But hey, you can reach us there or on our website if you want to find the content, tapthecraft.com. Just go visit us there. Chris, any questions?
Jeff Seiler said all music is good music.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go. It's all good.
But I want to know what everybody's drinking tonight, and don't forget to check into Untapped, because we're going to be reading those here shortly.
Right now.
Oh, now. Yeah. So if you guys haven't checked in, well, you better get them in now.
Yeah. So let's continue the conversation, because it's now time to untap the craft and see what our listeners are drinking according to Untapped.
So let's see what Untapped does have, because I'm sure we're going to go from this really huge gap of 4 or 5 hours ago to 24 hours ago. No, we're not. 8 hours ago. Kevin Page was over at Ellipsis. That's a cool place to go. Let's see. All right, here we go. And I'm going to read this one. It was a little further than our usual 24-hour time period. Just a scotch, as Megan likes to say. Only because I haven't read this name in a long time.
Oh,
Buck Buchanan.
Oh, Buck.
Yeah. I messaged him the other day, actually. He had some pictures pop up on Instagram of some classy beer ladies checking into Core 4 Brewing, and texted him a screenshot of that. But anyway, Buck is drinking a Drop Shot Stout. I'm so glad I didn't stumble over those words. by Lively Brewworks, and he said solid beer, nice and creamy. 4.5 caps for that beer. Kevin, you know what, Kevin? Just because you're drinking this beer, you didn't put any rating, but you wrote quite smooth and easy to drink. Enjoyed this. The best of 3 yesterday. He's at Ellipsis Brewing, which is just north of the Orlando airport. And he's drinking a BAMF. BAMF.
What's that stand for?
Badass motherfucker. So just so you're aware.
There you go. There you go.
So no ratings on that one, but I wanted to read it just because of the name. And of course, he had to check into an Arcane Ale. No, is it Arcane? Yeah, Arcane Ale Works and an Arcane Ale Works
or Burial.
Yeah, yep. He's drinking the Love Goliath by Arcane Ale Works. Super solid and smooth. 4 4.25 caps for that beer. He's been a busy guy. Even better. So we talked about it was either Arcane or Burial. Well, he's at Ellipsis drinking a Burial beer.
That guy, he can't get enough.
Well, I think and correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, you are having those shipped from, oh, sorry, Bill. We said we are live, I think. He said
I know, I've been drinking a couple times since we said that.
I'm glad somebody's watching for us. But yeah, I think he's getting those shipped in from Burial, having the mail ordered. So, but he is drinking a faint glimmer of hope notwithstanding, and that's 4.25 caps on that one as well.
I have a quick PSA from Kevin.
Go ahead.
So, Kevin and I have been communicating back on Facebook Messenger, and he bought some B cups.
Mm-hmm.
And he was cleaning them, just was rinsing them out with water and setting them up. Then he decided to go ahead and do some, standard cleaning that he does with his glassware. And he mixed up a mixture of baking soda and water and something. I don't remember the whole thing. And he cleaned them with that. And what happened is the porous material of the plastic soaked in, like when it dried, some of those water droplets that had maybe some of that stuff was stuck on there.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of like permanently stained his B cup glassware with white spots. And he's tried cleaning it, and he thinks he may have ruined them with those spots. So as a public service announcement, based off of Kevin Page's mistake, don't clean your B cups with anything besides just putting them in a dishwasher or just some light dish soap, scrub them and set them out to dry. I've done both. I've cleaned them by hand and set them out to dry, no issues. I put them in a dishwasher, no issues. In fact, I was worried about putting them in a dishwasher, but after I did it, I was like, you know what? They work fine on a top shelf, and I don't have any spots, no issues. I just used them in our videos, both the Stout glass and the Pilsner glass, crystal clear, beautiful, clear glasses. So the PSA is just clean them normally, right?
Put them in the dishwasher.
Put them in the dishwasher. You'll be fine.
And I don't know how many times I read that promo for them.
Yeah,
they're dishwasher safe, BPA free, recyclable, right? Just throw them in the dishwasher, guys. Bill just asked, can you explain what the benefits of those glasses are and where you can find them specifically? We'll get into that in a little bit.
Okay.
But okay. I'll pull up some information too while we're doing that. But I want to get into the rest of these check-ins.
Okay.
We got to find some more of them. Let's see. Because there's a lot of them on there. Georgiana Taylor is drinking a White Walking Tree by Walking Tree Brewery. Very delicious, she says. Just the right amount of hoppy flavor. 4.5 caps for that beer. She drank that 5 hours ago. And Walking Tree Brewery, come on, internet, Vero Beach, Florida. Florida people. That's awesome. Let's see. Next on the list, Stephen Brown. He's also here in Florida, drinking a Circus of Light by Knotted Root Brewing Company. Now, Knotted Root Brewing Company. I have no idea where that place is either. Nederland, Colorado.
No idea.
Yeah, me either. He gave that one 4 1/4 caps last night of the first weekend of March Madness. You following March Madness at all?
Well, you know what? I watched two games. I watched a game 2 days ago with. So I'm an Oregon Duck fan, and I like
Sure.
watching Oregon Duck basketball and football. And the Oregon Ducks didn't get to play in the first round because the team they played against had COVID restrictions, so they got a kind of like a bye.
Mm-hmm.
And then the team they were going to go against was either going to be Iowa, which is a good team that I was kind of worried about, and Iowa was playing against Grand Canyon University. So I
Okay.
watched that game on Saturday just to see how they were playing, and then I watched the Oregon and Iowa game today, and Oregon kicked the crap out of Iowa. So they looked really good. Their offense and defense was playing like top of their game. So it looks like if they keep that up, they might be a force to reckon with as they go through. So they made it to the Sweet 16. They'll play either USC or Kansas. USC and Kansas are playing tonight. I think right now. I think they're actually playing or getting ready to start their game in a few minutes. So the winner of that game will play against Oregon next weekend. So I think either one will be a good challenge for the Sweet 16 for the Ducks. So yeah, I'm following a little bit, but not too heavy.
Yeah, so you're following it way more than I am.
Yeah. Yeah, where's our fermented reality beercast sports thing? I could be
That'll
talking about
be next Monday. Yep. So keep that in mind for when we start talking about it next week.
All right.
With Dan and Tim and Joel. Which, by the way, Bill, Joel is the owner of B Cups. So again, we'll be talking about that a little bit. Anyway, moving on to the Untapped check-ins. Florida Steve is drinking a Nothing Fancy by New Heights Brewing Company. He said, "This is how you do a cream ale with corn as an adjunct."
No.
No,
okay. Really?
Look. Everybody gets their own opinion. Right?
That's a really corny cream ale.
Is that the best you got? Really? Creamy, even a slight vanilla note too. He gave that one 4 caps, and the can art looks pretty cool on that. Mike, I'm gonna give you a little bit of grief about this one, just because I see this in the stores all over the place here, and I never want to buy it because I'm sure it's just old. He's drinking a Hopsecutioner by Terrapin Beer Company. Terrapin Beer Company, by the way, we could just go ahead and take this over here. Trying to have some fun.
Oh, what just happened there? You just had to
take this Terrapin hat and
look at that fancy thing.
Yeah, this thing has been in the Gulf of Mexico. I don't know how many times. So.
All I see is the temple or the palace behind it.
I know it's hard to see because again, it's green. You can see right through it.
Screen. Let's get a blue screen.
Well, I have a blue one on the other side. It's blue on the other side. Anyway, Mike is drinking the Hopsecutioner by Terrapin Beer Company. 3 3/4 caps for that beer, and I only read it again just because I see it in the store all the time, and I go, man, that's got to taste just like the cardboard box that it was shipped in. Let's see what else you got in there, Mike. There's a few things in there. Let's see. We'll get this one. The Cotillion by Slow Pour Brewing Company. Mike's drinking this one. 4 caps for this beer, but no notes to go along with it. Jeff Seiler, as always, drinking out of his B cups.
Yeah.
Is drinking a Space Lettuce by Monday Night Brewing. Monday Night is in Atlanta. Been to that place. That's pretty cool. He says it's a delicious double IPA. Piney and tropical. Love this beer name. All I can think about is pigs in space eating salad.
Pigs in space.
And he gave it 4 1/4 caps for that beer. That the Space Lettuce.
Nice.
Interestingly enough, Mike Allen drinking a Space Lettuce.
Same thing.
Monday Night Brewing. He gave it 4 caps. Jeff gave it 4 1/4. So
okay.
4.125 collaborative rating on that one. Art Warcheck. Art, your beer should be coming out to you on Friday or Saturday. So Art is drinking a Wookie Jack by Firestone
love that
Walker
beer.
Brewing.
Love that beer.
Man,
that's the black IPA, right?
Well,
It's I think it's a black IPA, right? Wookie Jack.
I'm gonna say we're live on Facebook. Give me a second. They have it marked as a rye. Okay, so yeah,
it's a rye black IPA.
Rye IPA.
Oh, rye IPA. But it's not a black IPA. I thought Wookie Jack was it's a rye.
Okay, it's a black rye IPA.
Nice. Oh yeah, I love that beer.
That's a double for you, huh?
I have, because it has rye and it's a black IPA.
Yeah.
And I have a bottle somewhere in this mess.
This mess.
I love that beer. I love it.
Yeah. So for this beer, he said, "Wook wook." Forever since I've had one of these 4 1/4 caps for that beer, and man, I wish we saw Firestone Walker in Florida. Art's in Ohio. I wish they saw it in Ohio. So
I think they just brought it back. I think they took Wookie Jack away and they just brought it back again this year. Like the black IPA is making a resurgence in 2021.
See, 2020 wasn't so bad.
You have to I'm enjoying it so far.
Go through that nonsense to get your black IPAs. I'm sorry, your Cascadian Dark Ales.
Cascadian Dark Ales with rye.
Bill said, shouldn't that just be a rye PA? Yeah.
A rye PA?
All right, moving on. Tara Carlson is drinking a Chesapeake Wheat American Wheat. Yeah, I said that. Chesapeake Wheat American Wheat by Flying Dog Brewery. Had to go into the office today. So I have rewarded myself. The beer makes me sing the song "Beer That Tastes Like Beer," and buying a 6-pack contributes to oyster recovery in the Chesapeake Bay.
There you go.
Yeah, I can't fault you for that, Tara. She gave it 4 1/4 caps for this beer. Is Jim drinking the same thing? Jim Kudzall is drinking a Spatzel Pils by Alesmith Brewing Company. The can says, quote, "Clean, crisp, and refreshing." The can knows what it's talking about.
Oh.
Just the thing after a long day of not working. The only downside is that it doesn't stand up well to hot and spicy chicharrones. So you guys are having some pork rinds, huh? All right. 4 caps for that beer. He tagged you and I in that.
I haven't been on Untapped today.
I know we're just slacking. I'm sorry.
I'll be on Untapped in a minute not a minute, but a little bit when I talk about my new and noteworthy.
I love this beer name too. Eric Gronley, I saw you check into this right after I checked into one of my beers today. Eric Gronley's drinking a Garage Karate by Omni Brewing Company. Yeah. Do go do karate in the garage. The bright yellow hazy color, sweetness up front with melony flavors. Melony, like melons, not melony.
No, I got you.
Did we just become best friends? Yep. Do you want to go do karate in the garage? Yeah. 4 1/4 caps for this beer. Yeah, I love that movie. I'm not reading what I checked into. And let's see who else. We got to continue the check-in streak for
Chad
the
Lamassa.
947th time in a row. Chad Lamassa is drinking an Acai Annapolis Boat by Forward Brewing. Second of 3 crowlers I picked up from the brewery on Saturday. This is a great Kolsch. You got me there. With a subtle action flavor from the puree. 4 1/2 caps for that beer. Acai Annapolis Boat. I was born in Annapolis. For those of you playing along at home. Let's see.
Bingo.
Next on the list, a beer from Russian River Brewing. Robert, or as we like to call him, Chew Your Beer. He's drinking a Mind Circus by Russian River Brewing. 4 and what looks like 3/4 caps for this beer. Great solution for the Monday blues. Yep. I would agree. Most beers will do that for you. Mike Allen is drinking an O'Farrell's Irish Red by Stillfire Brewing. He's a great mouthfeel, perfect amount of sweetness, really well done. 4 1/2 caps for that one. And Avery Brewing.
Which one? Which beer?
Uncle Jacob's Stout from 2016.
Hmm.
Jeff Seiler is checking into this beer. Wow. Delicious bourbon barrel stout. Amazing flavors. Chocolate, coffee, dark fruits, and boozy. Lovely stuff. The biggest beer I've ever had at 17.1%.
That's a big beer.
4.5 caps for that beer. Now, before we move on, I must refresh. And that's what everybody's drinking on Untapped.
All right. Yeah. It was 18%.
About 17.1.
17.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's bigger. I mean, Jeff, you might have had bigger. If you've had Dogfish Head's Worldwide Stout, isn't that like
That's about 18.
it's
18 plus.
18%? I think
Yeah.
it's like a huge one. That, and then I've had some ice beers in Israel that were raised up pretty high with when they did a triple icing of the beer, and basically it's just all alcohol. That's pretty high, but I think still the Samuel Adams Utopias is probably the strongest.
22-ish.
Yeah, it was
26-ish.
literally but it was really good. But it was like drinking, a distilled spirit. That's probably the highest alcohol beer I've had is that one, and it's really good.
All right, so I want to jump on this whole B cups thing real quick.
Yeah.
So Bill, and for those of you that haven't heard this, Bill McElwain, who we're bouncing back and forth with, I went to culinary school with him in Pittsburgh, and now he lives here in Florida, which is great. But hey, so I want to talk about these B cups a little bit. First off, they used to be a sponsor of our show, so people had the chance to win them. But the B cups, they have 4 different designs. They have an IPA, they have a stout, they have a funk glass, and then they have like a lager or a pilsner glass. Yep. So the tough part is that Bill, I got you, man. So he has limited vision. So this is going to be tough to talk about as far as why these cups are so beneficial. So these IPA cups that I'm drinking out of, they're curved to have this. Well, what their graphics say is that the top is tapered to concentrate aromas, but then the construction of the actual glass will agitate the beer and activate that carbonation in there. And then some of the other reasons that it's built the way that it is that it's just easy to hold, according to them.
True. Yeah.
And I would agree.
Won't slip out of your hand.
Yeah, it's totally easy to hold. And if you guys want to go check out some of the designs, you can find them. Let's see if I can remember what this says.
Bcups.net.
It's bcups.net. Yep, you can totally find them on bcups.net, but you can find them on Amazon also in 2-packs and 4-packs and mix packs. You can check out Fermented Reality, which is our other podcast that we do every other Monday, and then definitely check out Amazon. You can go to Fermented Reality, bcups.net. Plenty of places you can check them out.
And we have a link on our website under the things you need. It's one of the items that we have linked, the things you need to buy. Essential beer equipment.
No, I agree with it. And especially like Bill here in the summer, we use these by our pool. I've taken them camping with us. I've taken them on boats. I've taken them to the beach. Basically, what they're built for to go. They're let's see if I get this. The world's first line of style-specific beer cups for people on the go.
On the go.
It's like I've said that before.
Whether you're hiking in the woods, camping, on the lake, river, beach, whatever. Yeah, they're great. Yeah.
They're just outdoor beer glasses, man. They're we love them. We love them not only just because of. They're kind of cool to see and feel and look at, but they actually, they do serve a purpose, and they're a high quality plastic glass.
Yeah. I have used and washed mine
dozens of times.
At least 20 times, if not more. Right. And I don't wash my glasses every time I use them. Right. I'll use a glass, I'll rinse it out, and I'll use it for, 5 or 6 beers before I'll throw it in the dishwasher. So I use it quite a bit, but it comes out of the dishwasher and then I'll use it again and it looks like it's brand new. The quality is really good. I will say that the lip is a little bit thick, to your mouth, but you get used to it and it's not off-putting, but it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But the purpose to be able to take that out and drop it, and it will, land on the ground and not break. Pick it up, rinse it off, pour another beer, good to go.
Yeah.
That's the key. I've had other non-breakable glasses that I just don't like to drink out. Like any of those silly pints that have that silicon. I used to take those with me when I travel a lot for work. At least last year I didn't travel at all with work. This year I haven't traveled yet with work, but usually I travel quite a bit with work throughout the year. And I would pack a silly pint with me. Well, now I can pack a B cup, and it's like drinking out of a real beer cup instead of, a fake flimsy silicon thing that has a horrible silicon aroma, it's got like a chemical aroma in it when you're drinking. It makes it, everything's worse. But I took that one because a lot of times I can't count on having good glasses at the hotel I'm staying at, because a lot of times they're just these cheap plastic, glasses that are only hold half a beer, and I need to pour a whole beer. I don't want to be pouring a half a beer.
Yeah, this one held the whole 16-ounce can.
The whole 16 ounce.
It took all of it.
It took all of it. All right. So before we move on, I wanted to say one more thing. We were talking about beers that people were drinking now. I mentioned in the last episode that I had a Bigfoot 2021 that I was waiting to drink, and I would drink it between shows. I'm not going to talk about it on my new and noteworthy beers because it's not a new and noteworthy beer to me. I think I gave it a 3.5 cap rating. Bigfoot is a good beer, but it's, as far as barley wines, it's not my favorite barley wine. It's a good barley wine if you want to buy it and let it age. And as it ages, I think it matures and becomes a better beer the older it is. But drinking it fresh, it's just not my favorite beer to drink. It's really harsh. And it's just not as smooth as what I really enjoy barley wines to taste like. So I did drink my Bigfoot 2021. I guess I should open up my Untapped and just quickly read what I wrote about it. I don't remember because it was 2 weeks ago. I drank it like next day after we recorded. So my memory is lacking a bit, but I can find it easily enough on Untapped here. So what I said says this beer is and I drank this in celebration of Johann Halberg's birthday. He turned 51. He's just a little bit younger than I am, which is nice that, that we're similar age.
No longer a kid.
No longer a kid. He's no longer a kid. So I said, this beer is in celebration of my buddy Johann Halberg's birthday today. Last night I said on the podcast I would drink this beer before the next recording. Here it is. Wow, this is pretty tasty. Malt's coming through even with the hop forward and the finish hops. And if I said in a comment, I said, if I was smart, I would buy a few and age to see how it develops over time. But I have worked hard to reduce my cellaring. So fresh is a 3.5 in my book. But again, I would rate this higher the older it gets. Age it a year, it's better. Age it 2 years is even better. 3 years, I think it's like perfection. So if you can hold on to it for 2 to 3 years, it's going to be a much better beer than fresh, in my opinion. Too much hops, too much harshness, not smooth as I like to have my barley wines.
Yeah.
Right, so that I want to make sure I gave my piece because I told you guys I would after the last episode. So Chris, did you have any Bigfoot?
Not the 2021. I did.
Okay.
I'm sure I had a couple of 2020s, but
okay.
I'll admit I'm kind of excited to move into the Brew Buzz.
Okay, let's do it. All right. Well, now it's time for the Brew Buzz. And the Brew. Are we playing some Russian tunes there? Some Tetris?
Yeah.
You caught me off guard. Hey,
I know. I knew it'd catch you.
So the Brew Buzz is devoted to discussing various beer-related topics. And this week we will be discussing the Russian Imperial Stout style and history. And I was able to pull this information off of a bunch of different websites. I will have all the links on the show notes if you want to go and dive deeper into where I pulled this information from. But you can find a lot of information on the history of the Russian Imperial Stout on a lot of sites. And nobody knows how true the story is, right? So take this with a grain of salt. This is what, the story is. Take it for a fun story. Is it 100% factual? I don't know. I wasn't there. This was like 200 and some years before I was born. So I don't know. But I will give credit to the website Alexander Palace Time Machine and their article Imperial Dining Russian Imperial Stout. Also, I have a fun little story that I grabbed off of the Broughton's Brewing site. It's a Scottish brewery. It's called The Story of Broughton's 20-year-old Russian Imperial Stout. Kind of a fun little story. So I have a link to where that story came from. Also, I like going to this American craft beer website because they have the articles that are called "What the hell is a Russian Imperial Stout?" Hey, I like that. I like I like fancy catchy names like that. So there's an article you can find at the end for that. And then of course, I can't leave out craftbeer.com, right?
Right.
They have their American Imperial Stout section that kind of gives you a highlight of the style. So if you want to go see more, you can go to that link as well. So Chris, I'm going to start off, and then I'll just let you continue on, and we'll figure out how. I didn't piece it together on how we were going to break it up. We'll just play it by ear.
That's totally fine. And then I threw I found some extra music to throw in there too. Just look, if we're going to have the Kremlin in the background here, we might as well have the music to go along with it.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the history of the Russian Imperial Stout. Now, when Peter the Great opened the Tsarist Russia to the west in the early 18th century, dark ales called porters were all the rage in England. Porters, named after the working class who devoured them, were relatively easy drinking brews with a small percentage of highly roasted malt. The result was a dark brown, toffee-flavored libation fit for a mass consumption. Arthur Guinness took the idea to Ireland, increased the dark, coffee-tinted profile, and added extra stout to the label, thus creating another new beer style. So Peter the Great fell in love with the stouts during his 1698 trip to England, and he requested that some be sent to the imperial court in Russia. Much to the embarrassment of the English, the beer had spoiled somewhere along this tedious 1,000-mile journey. Determined as always to save face, the Barclay Brewery of London came to the rescue by rapidly increasing the amount of alcohol and hops for their second effort. The result was an inky black concoction with enough warmth and complexity to immediately become the sensation throughout Russia. The Russian Imperial Stout had been born and quickly became popular throughout European Russia. All right, Chris, why don't you go ahead and hit the next section there?
All right. So Empress Catherine the Great of Russia, she was from 1729 to 1796, was very much a fan of Imperial Stout. One notable supplier was Thrale's Anchor Brewery in the parish or district of Southwark, a mile or two upriver from John Courage Brewery's site. In 1796, Thrale's supplied Imperial Stout that would keep for 7 years.
7 years.
Hey, let's age some. That's fine. Yeah. The author of the History of Antiquities to the History of Antiquities of the Parish of Saint Saviour Southwark. Jeez, that is just.
it's a book.
Hang on.
Yeah, take a drink. It's the author of the History of Antiquities of the Parish of Saint Saviour Southwark.
Okay. Thank you. They said that Thrale's beer at the time, quote, the reputation and enjoyment of porter, or Imperial Stout, is by no means confined to England. As proof of the truth of this assertion, this house exports annually very large quantities. So far extended are its commercial connections that Thrale's Entire, a contemporary name for Imperial Stout,
that's the name of the beer,
is well known as a delicious beverage from the frozen regions of Russia to the burning sands of Bengal and Sumatra. The Empress of all Russia is indeed so partial to porter that she has ordered repeatedly very large quantities for her own drinking and that of her court.
Man, I love a woman who loves strong beer.
She knows what she wants. Let's give it to her. All right, I'm gonna get this last paragraph, and then we're
No,
gonna
go get the last two, and then I'll start
All
with the
right.
interesting story.
Okay. She also ordered some of her supply from the John Courage Brewery. The John Courage Brewery continued to brew its Imperial Stout with the boast on its label that it was originally brewed by the Imperial Order of Catherine up until the 1990s. That's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
While hugely popular through the 19th century, porters had fallen away completely from the consumer's taste by the end of the 20th century. The style may have disappeared altogether were it not for the newfound bravado and quirkiness of the emerging
Another
emerging
drink.
craft beer scene. We're live on Facebook.
Take a drink.
Of the emerging craft brewing scene, Jesus, in the US. Anxious to brew all things intense, extreme, and obscure. Stop that share. Many small batch American brewers began resurrecting and reinventing the old Russian genre. Today's versions are even bigger and bolder than the originals.
Yeah, and so it makes sense, right? That a lot of these historical beers were brought back by Americans' craft beer movement, right? We wanted things that were different, bigger, bolder than what we were already having. So it kind of makes sense. So that leads into where this style kind of died and it made a resurrection story. But now here's another interesting story. And again, I mentioned this was from that Broughton brewery. So I got this story from their website, and I'll just go ahead and read some of this. So the flow of Russian Imperial Stout continued unabated into the region of Tsar Nicholas II in the early years of the 20th century, even during the First World War in 1914. However, the leader of the Bolshevik Party, Lenin, and the whole revolutionary leadership were contemptuous of this bourgeois tipple, whatever it is. I don't
I'd
know.
go bourgeoisie.
Bourgeois, whatever. Yeah, you can say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thus, on October 25th, 1917, when the Bolshevik Revolution erupted in the port city of St. Petersburg, Lenin ordered warehouses holding barrels of the last remaining stocks to be destroyed. Witnesses reported a stream of black beer running down the streets. The October Revolution and the years of the Soviet Union that followed marked the sad end of the legendary Russian Imperial Stout. So it became big, and then Lenin came in and just crushed it and threw all the beer out, and then no more. It was gone.
Thanks, Lenin.
All right, so now comes the Broughton Stout story. However, founded in 1979, Broughton Brewery decided to revive this historic brew at the end of the start of the new millennium in 2000. Brewed a batch of Russian Imperial Stout for a new customer in St. Petersburg. Sadly, the customer ran out of money, and the order never delivered. The casks of Russian Imperial Stout were placed in Broughton's barrel store, where they have matured for the past 20 years in ideal, cool, and dark conditions. Now we're going to bring it home, COVID style. During the COVID lockdown, these barrels were discovered, and when the beer inside was sampled, it still had the strong roasted malt and hop flavors loved by the Tsars Peter and Catherine, with added complexity and smoothness from the stout's long maturation. In August 2020, Broughton Brewery offered bottles of this 20-year-old Russian Imperial Stout, which was only 7.9% alcohol, with its nature strictly limited as a reward for pledges in their Save the Brewery crowdfunder. So let's talk about this for a second. This brewery in 1979 brewed a bunch of beer that was going to be sent to Russia. The Russian customer couldn't pay for it, so it sat in their warehouse. Somehow got lost in their warehouse for 20 years. During COVID, when they're trying to do inventory and figure out what's going on, they find this stash of beer. And it turns out that even after 20 years, way past the 7-year aging, 20 years, it's still a great beer. Now they're struggling. COVID's hit. The brewery is like losing, it's like hemorrhaging money. They need some way to survive. They take this beer and offer it as an opportunity for people that, hey, you want to, if you go ahead and help us out, then we will go ahead and you have the opportunity to have some of this very limited 20-year-old beer as a crowdfunding thing. So I thought that was kind of a
I,
interesting story, right?
I want to know how much it was.
So I won't talk about it here because it happened last October, or August to October is when it was done. So you can't get it,
I
but I do
know,
have a
but
link. I do have a link that can take you to the page. I think it was only like 30 euros
what?
or 30 pounds.
Of
I think
course,
it's pounds because it's, yeah.
I type in Broughton Brewery, 20-year-old Russian, and it brings up Goose Island.
Well, let me talk about this real quick. Okay. In August 2020, Broughton Brewery offered bottles of this 20-year-old Russian Imperial Stout. I already said that, didn't I? Broughton Brewery have been brewing award-winning beers in the Scottish borders since 1979. We are calling upon you. This is part of their crowdfunding spiel they did. We're calling upon you to save the brewery by donating to our cause or buying one of our fantastic rewards and sharing our message far and wide to spread the word. Due to COVID-19, times are tough and the future is uncertain. You can help us keep brewing and bringing our award-winning beers to you by joining our campaign to save the brewery. And their campaign slogan was, "You were part of the craft beer revolution. Now become part of the revival. Keep Scottish brewing alive." So
Well,
at the end, Chris is going to share.
it's even on
It's on Untapped,
Untapped.
huh?
Collective rating of 4.48.
Wow. Wow. Oh, but it's only got like 13 people have
Yeah.
actually checked into it.
Well, it's very exclusive.
It's very rare. Yes, it's very exclusive and very rare. But I think it was, if I remember correctly, I think it was 30 pounds was the reward. Like if you donated that much, you get a bottle. Which to me, if that's correct, if I'm right about that, that's a really low price for a
Yeah.
beer that's been cellared for
20
for
years?
20 years, right? I mean, a good
I'd do
that's
it
a good purchase.
twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would do it twice.
So yeah, so that's an interesting story. It kind of brings it back home, this whole Russian Imperial Stout thing. We talked about it back in 1698. We brought it all the way back to 2019 with a nice, cool story, and so that's what it's all about. So, Chris, I just got done talking a bunch. Why don't you go into the style characteristics of this beer? And in this first sentence here, I kind of put things together in the fact that what we're really talking about.
And I like it. It's a good opening line. So the style characteristics, the Russian Imperial Stout is just an Imperial Stout with a fun story behind it, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's true or not. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Craftbeer.com describes the American Imperial Stout as follows. The American Imperial Stout is the strongest in alcohol and body of the stouts. Black in color, these beers typically have an extremely rich, malty flavor and aroma with full, sweet malt character. Bitterness can come from roasted malts or hop additions.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at its appearance, the color is just going to be black. I know I've had some Russian Imperial stouts, and people have very much compared it to motor oil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Used dirty motor oil.
Yeah.
The clarity, there's no clarity. It's rated as opaque.
Mm-hmm.
And the carbonation, at least on the visual side, is going to be slow to medium rising bubbles.
Yeah, it can't get through that thickness. The bubbles
No.
just can't penetrate.
It's more like what bubbles. You don't
Yeah.
really see a whole lot of bubbles in there. In the flavor and aroma, the alcohol, it's noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
The hop aroma and flavor are medium high to high with floral, citrus, and herbal hop aromas. Hop bitterness is medium high to very high and balanced with the malt character. Your malts, you're going to find bittersweet chocolate, cocoa, and coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Fruity esters are generally high, and phenols are not common to the style.
So I'm going to say that the esters, it really depends on how the brewery, processes it, right, with the yeast.
Yep.
Some will have some dark fruit esters in them, but there's some like the old Rasputin. Honestly, I don't taste any fruity esters in the old Rasputin, right? It's
None.
really bitter from the start to finish based on the malts and the hops, and it doesn't lead to any of those dark fruits. But I just wanted to clarify that they can have fruity esters, but like dark fruit esters, but not always. So just keep that in
Before I continue,
mind.
Alexa, set a timer for 15 minutes.
What?
No, I
Wait,
gotta.
is that all we got? 15 minutes? You got to leave?
No.
Oh,
I gotta be. You can't just go blowing into this thing and.
no, you got to do it right. Good,
Okay.
good thinking. Good
Yeah.
thinking.
All right. So the sensations for this beer on the body, it's mouth coating,
Mhm.
right? It's gonna coat. I mean, it's heavy. Carbonation low to medium. Again, what bubbles?
Mhm.
Your finish length is long. Thank you for noticing. And your attenuation is medium. What is attenuation?
Attenuation is how much sugar, how much sweetness is taken out of the
Okay.
beer.
All right. So some vital statistics, your IBUs or your Imperial bittering units, 50 to 90.
Mm.
Your ABV, 8% to 12%.
Now those are rough, right?
Low.
And can be low.
Mhm.
Actually, I think 8% is like a minimum for Imperial stouts, but it can go up to 15, 16% on a lot of
Oh,
these Russian
sure.
Imperial stouts. So I think they should have raised that a little bit higher than 12. I think 12
Mhm.
is being conservative in that
Correct.
regard.
I would totally agree with you because I've definitely had some. Well, that
Yeah, some big
it's
ones.
yeah, I think it I think it's being very conservative.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so I'm going to do a couple of these examples, and I'll let you do a couple, Chris. Is that
All right,
cool?
let's do that.
All right, I'm going to start off with my favorite. It's my favorite because it's the one I've drank the most of, and that I fell in love with early in my craft beer journey, and it just sticks with me. A lot of times, you have when you, in your craft beer journey, you have certain beers that make an impact on you. And this beer from North Coast Brewing, Old Rasputin, is a beer that left an impact on me, and I still drink it to today and still enjoy it every time I have it. Um, I have a little note here. It says first brewed in 1994, then bottled in 1996. This three-time Great American Beer Festival medal winner is considered by many to be the archetype of the style and the basis upon which many Russian Imperial Stout styles are brewed in the U.S. today. And yeah, I love this beer. I wish it was around the nation so everyone could enjoy it as much as I do. But I'm just lucky that I live in the spot that I can get it, and I do drink it quite a bit every year.
I will back you up on that one because you guys are pretty much on the complete opposite coast of where we are, and we
Hmm.
still get this beer. So
Oh, do you? Okay,
oh,
good,
absolutely,
good.
yeah. We see Old Rasputin and a lot of its variants too.
Yeah, and now it's coming in 16 ounce. So what's cool is that North Coast Brewing is releasing their beers. They used to be just in these 12-ounce bottles, right?
Hmm.
Now they're releasing them in 16-ounce cans. So now when you get an Old Rasputin, it's a 16-ounce can of this 9% ABV beer. And I could have swore this beer was 10% at one point, but maybe my mind is playing tricks on me. But yeah, 16 ounces is a nice sample of that and really good. Same thing with this
Yeah.
next beer I'm going to talk about. Oscar Blues 1050.
Yep.
This is another staple that I love. I enjoy this beer almost as much as Old Rasputin, but I drink Old Rasputin more because it's part of my craft beer journey that has left a mark in me that I just go back to all the time. But Oscar Blues 1050, one of the only widely available Russian Imperial stouts in cans. 1050 is a bit lighter. It's 10.5% and 65
Lighter.
IBUs. Yeah, lighter.
And I love the story behind the name too, which
Yeah.
we can talk about if you want.
Yeah, well, I'll let you talk about it here in a second. So, making it an ideal base for the over 20 variants that they've created, including their highly sought after bourbon barrel aged version. So, what is the background of the 1050?
So, from so the FIDY, I
Hmm.
remember that clearly because there's profanity involved. And well, you know how much I enjoy some good sentence enhancers.
Okay. Okay. So
But
if you're sensitive, close your ears.
yeah, so according to from what I've been told, Oscar Blues at the point when this beer came out was offered to sell out. They were offered to sell out, and they said no. And the FIDY, FIDY, is stands for fuck the industry, do it
Oh,
yourself.
yeah. Do yourself. I knew it was do it yourself, but I didn't realize it was fuck the industry. Okay.
Yeah. So, actually, Art Warcheck, who we read a couple of his check-ins a few minutes ago, he told me that story, and I
Okay.
I decided to look it up online because you know everything you read online is true, but there are a couple of websites that are corroborating that story.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. I, a little story about Oscar Blues. Oscar Blues, as far as I understand, and as far as what I've seen, is one of the first. Is maybe the first, if not the first, one of the first breweries that brought craft beer back to cans. And I saw it in my stores in 2002 timeframe. And when I first saw the first beers that came into town was their Scottish ale, Old Chub.
Old Chub.
And when I saw, for one thing, I'm a huge fan of Scottish ales.
Yep.
And when I saw it, I had to pick up a 6-pack, but I was weary because I'm like, oh crap, it's in a aluminum cans.
Mm-hmm.
And I grabbed it and I drank it and I loved it. And I didn't have the metallic-y character of the beer that I was used to getting back, when I was drinking stuff out of cans before. And it literally was the first craft beer that I had in cans back in 2002, 2003 timeframe when it came to the Boise area. And Old Chub is one of I love that beer. And 1050, I mean, all their beers they were doing cans really early in the craft beer world. So a little story there to throw out while we're talking about it. All right.
And that's gonna, well, the cans. I mean, you've probably seen it now. Everything is moving into cans.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm wondering about where glass is going to go from here, considering you can put anything in a can, anything from these beers that we swore up and down had to be in glass bottles in order
Mm-hmm.
to preserve their integrity. It doesn't seem to be the case anymore.
It's not the case. The problem is that a lot of the bigger breweries that bought into the bottling and had a massive bottling line to get their beers out in distribution, they're now stuck with that line, right? They have to use it. But
Yeah.
like the example I'm going to use, Deschutes Brewery, they're utilizing their bottling line to do their big beers that used to come in 22-ounce bottles into 12-ounce bottles now. So they're utilizing their bottling line to do some of their staple beers and that, and a lot of their special beers in 12-ounce variants versus the 22-ounce variants that they had before. And they're doing some of their flagship beers that have a lot of sales in cans. So they have a canning line and they have their big giant bottling line. So you're utilizing both. But if you invest multi-million dollars into your bottling line, you can't just give it up, right? You've got to get that money back. And so I think that a lot of breweries are kind of like balancing the two options so that they can utilize what the equipment they have and also provide beers in cans that are massive sellers that people want to take out on the beach, hiking, whatever, on the lake, in cans that are easier to deal with.
Well, we've totally taken some very big beers into the woods camping and stuff like that that used to just show up in bottles. And now it's
Mm.
nice to be able to see those beers
Yeah.
show up in cans where
Yeah.
we don't have to be so gentle with them and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
not have to worry about breaking a bottle and stuff like that.
For sure. For sure. All right, Chris, I'll do one more and I'll let you take the rest. So the next one I'm going to talk about is Avery Brewing's The Czar. And this is one of Avery's most popular offerings, though also a member of their recently retired Dictator series. You might still be able to find this 10.1% ABV beast on shelves, but you'll have to find it fast. So yeah, I think this beer is discontinued. I believe I had this beer before in my past, maybe even before I was on Untapped. Um, I'm pretty sure I've had the Czar in the past, but Avery's out of Colorado Brewery. So if you're not in their distribution, you may not have seen it in time. But that's one of the ones that I remember back in the day. All right, Chris. Now you got the big boys. You ready for
All
these?
right. So next on the list is going to be Three Floyds Brewing. Their Dark Lord. There's a whole day for this beer. One of the first beers in America to have its own release day party the last Saturday in April. So it's coming up last Saturday in April. It's the only time that it's sold. It weighs in at 15%. It sports many special variants and is consistently rated one of the best beers in the world. Now, I've had Dark Lord multiple times for a couple of different years, and I really do like it.
Yeah, I never had it. It's on my bucket list.
I really do like it. I hear a lot of people talk about how I remember talking to somebody about it, and as what I said, hey, I'm getting some Dark Lord, and they said soy sauce. What do you
Yeah.
mean soy sauce?
Oh boy.
There is very, very much if in the food and flavor world, there's very much a savory, what's called an umami flavor
Yeah,
to
umami.
beers that
Yeah.
are in there. I love it. It is
Mm.
really good, and I would totally getting it. I would totally get it if someone maybe sent it to my house. It's 3905. Anyway, next on the list is going to be Surly Brewing's Darkness, which is another regional quote must have Russian Imperial Stout with its own Darkness Day. This beast has been lurking since 2007 with its latest incarnation weighing in at 12%, 85 IBUs and overtones of chocolate, raspberry, and cherry. And that sounds really good. And their Darkness Day, I'd be really curious to see what that looks like too, because chocolate and raspberry and in a dark beer. Let's go for it. The next is a beer that, well,
Right at home.
if you're near where I am, you can just walk into your freaking Publix grocery store and pick it up if you want to. No, not really, but Cigar City Brewing's Marshall Zukov, which in itself is a very solid, very well done beer. And it's in my opinion anyway, it's dedicated to the renowned General Georgy Zhukov of World War II fame. This is the base upon which their prized Hunahpu's Imperial Stout is built upon, which I had some of the other day, which was pretty damn good. It's featuring flavors of espresso, dark chocolate, toffee, and black strap molasses, clocking in at 11.5% and 60 IBUs. And you know what? This used to be one of those beers that everybody waited in line for. It was a very hyped beer. There were lines wrapping around the building for it. Now you can go into the Total Wine and More, ABC, whatever the liquor store is. It's not hard to find. It really isn't. It's good, but it's really not hard to find. And the last one is the Firestone Walker Parabola. I think there's one of those in my fridge right now.
Yeah, I love that beer. This
Me
beer's
too.
good.
And again, I really wish Firestone Walker would show up in Florida. But the Parabola receiving a 100 score with 1,180 reviews on Beer
Perfect
Advocate.
score.
Yeah.
Perfect score.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't get much better than that, guys.
No.
If you can get it, give it a shot. Parabola is big time at 13.1% and 79 IBUs. It's aged for a full year in a blend of bourbon barrels from Elijah Craig, Four Roses, Pappy Van Winkle, Woodford Reserve, and Buffalo Trace. I did not know that part.
Yeah. Yeah. They're blending. Firestone Walker's blending is incredible. Whoever they have blending their beers is a master, because I've never had a bad blend of any of their different beers that they blend together. It's like a perfect blend every time. They're really good.
Now I want to go find that. It's like I almost want to travel a little bit closer to you so I can see if I can get it.
It's a $20 11 ounce bottle of beer. So you really have to want it to get it. It's expensive.
There's something Firestone Walker in my fridge right now that I'd love to go check, but something tells me it's the a barley wine or something like that. But hey, who
Oh, their
knows?
Barleywine is great too.
Oh yeah, I've had that on a couple of different years, and
Yeah, yeah. I love their Barleywine, their Sticky Monkey. All their stuff is good. It's just that I get to a point where I just don't want to spend $20 for a small bottle on everything, right? So I have to be picky, and I pick the ones that come in that I haven't had for a while that I want to try. So that's how I've been basing it lately. Is okay. How long ago have I had this one? Okay, I
Alexa,
go ahead and
stop.
it's 15 minutes. Huh?
It's time to blow, Denny.
Okay, you can blow, but that's how I've based my purchases now. Is I think, okay, how long have I had this? I haven't had this for a while. I'm grabbing this one versus this other one because I don't have an unlimited. I wish I had an unlimited beer budget, but I don't. I'm trying to survive during COVID times, and I'm trying to save for my retirement, which is coming up fast. So you're calculating
It's
how to
trying.
focus. Yeah, it was
It's
trying.
calculating and focusing.
Okay, 3.035. Man. You are awesome, dude. You can suck down those
Look,
14%. Nothing.
here's the thing. I'm pretty aware of how accurate these things are. I would not drive right now.
So you said that the other day on St. Patrick's Day.
Mm-hmm.
So you must have had a really good St. Patrick's Day where you're like taking down some Irish car bombs or something
That's
because
exactly what I had. I had 4 of them.
you had 4 Irish car bombs and it
And
was
then there were a
reading that
couple
you
of
were
beers.
0.06 something, right?
I think when I sent you the first message, it was 0.07, like
Or
0.078. I was
yeah.
just under that legal
Yeah.
limit. And
But
then
you felt you couldn't drive, right?
oh, absolutely
Yeah.
not. Right now, I'd be questionable driving.
So that's weird because I feel we had a discussion on Fermented Reality Beercast, and it kind of got once I saw the video that Dan posted on
Uh-huh.
our chat, I realized, well, maybe it is more accurate than I thought. So we did a test when I had my company over last night. We drank the same beers at the same times. We had the same amount of beer, and then we took the breathalyzer, and we were close. But I had eaten before they came over, and he hadn't eaten.
Mm-hmm.
So the only difference between us were same height, same build. He's younger than me. I'm older.
By what, like a year?
No, he's younger by maybe 20 years,
Okay.
15, 20 years. But we're the same body weight, height, everything. The only thing different is that I did eat before they came over.
Mhm.
I put something in my stomach and I hadn't drank before. My first beer was when we drank our first beer together. We drank 2 beers. We did a test. He was at 0.04 something, and I was at 0.3 something. Like I was like one point below what he was. The only difference, and we took him in the same sensor. I just swapped out the mouthpiece, so we each had
Mhm.
our own mouthpiece. But the only difference was the fact that I had eaten and he hadn't eaten before he came over, and that's the key, right? If you don't eat, the alcohol has a stronger effect on you than if you have a base of food in your gut that can help balance it out, so the alcohol is not going straight into your blood system, right? It's working against that food that's trying to be processed at the same time.
What do you think, food-wise, would
Mhm.
be more beneficial than the other
I think that
types
it's
of food?
a hearty. I'm thinking a hard. Okay, don't eat a bunch of sugary, starchy stuff. That's not going
Okay.
to help, I think, because the starch is going to break down in sugars. Alcohol is sugar, and it's going to, it's going to probably not be as well. I think if you have a good meat base, then the things that take longer to process, that your body is working harder to process, is going
Mhm.
to have a longer lasting effect on reducing the amount of alcohol that gets into your blood system
Okay.
when you eat. So I'm going to say some kind of meat. Meat and potatoes is fine.
That's
But there's
exactly what I had for dinner tonight.
okay, so that maybe that's why you're able to handle it. But you're saying it. You're mentally though you don't feel that you're mentally ready, capable of driving. But
No, like so there's times when allegedly that I've just driven home and I'm like,
Mhm,
glad I'm okay.
mhm.
Uh, but looking at right now, I wouldn't even consider that. Like
Yeah,
I've never found myself to be the kind of person that would go, "Oh no, I'm totally fine. I can totally drive
yeah,
home right now." No, no, no. I'm gonna call an Uber. We're just gonna go home. No, right now, point
it's Uber.
oh three something.
Yeah.
I'm calling Uber if I had to go home.
Which is smart, right? At least you're erring on the side of caution than throwing it out to the wind and just doing what you want. So I would rather you make that choice, even though you're well under the limit,
Hmm.
because why take a chance? Even
Well,
if you think that you are impaired, you are impaired.
I feel
If you think you
impaired,
are, right?
right? I look at this and go, I feel impaired, but then also do I look at this and go, well, I've got the BAC track,
No,
so
yeah, don't buy on. Yeah, that just gives you an idea that okay, should I wait it out for another 2 hours before I drive, even though I feel okay? Because here's the problem I have: the more you drink, and the more your body is used to, working with that alcohol in your bloodstream, the less effect it has on you to be able to perform. Right? You can
right.
perform, but you still have a high. You're above the limit. It doesn't matter if you can perform. If you get pulled over and you blow high, you're busted, whether you can perform or not. I can walk that line, say my alphabet back and forward and back. Doesn't matter. If I can't blow it at the level,
Hmm.
then I'm impaired, even though I can pass all the tests. So it doesn't matter.
Okay,
Um,
so I'm currently at 0.037,
yeah, it's about, yeah.
right? I've been told by a few members of law enforcement that certain people are just better at being drunk than others. Alexa, set a timer for 30 minutes. Let's see where we go from here.
So you're not drinking it, you're done.
I'm done, right?
You're
Because
done.
if
Okay.
I continue to drink anymore, I'm gonna feel like absolute garbage, not only for the rest of the night, but I'll probably wake up and just feel just gross.
Yeah, you'll wake up and you won't be able to sleep, and the next day you're
Oh,
wasted.
I'll sleep just fine. Which
No.
thank goodness that it's one of those things where sleeping, and nine fingers crossed, knock
Yeah.
on wood, that I've never struggled with.
Oh,
I
lucky
mean,
you.
yeah.
Lucky you. I don't get much sleep at night. I'm struggling every night to try to sleep. So
So
good for you.
we'll see what a half an hour looks like. So 0.037, we'll see what 30 minutes looks like on the clock, and we'll
Okay.
go from there.
That's if we're still live because we're finishing up here.
Yeah, we're getting close.
All right. Well, hey, that was our brew buzz and a little bit of backtrack talk.
Uh-huh.
Don't again, we're not professionals. Don't take what we're saying to be the truth. This is just what we're talking about, right? If you have a drink, hey, get someone to drive you home. That's the key. Don't take a chance. It's better to go ahead and take an Uber, a taxi, call a friend than to risk having
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
whatever happens. So that's
A
what we're
20, 30, 40, even $50 Uber ride is so
yeah.
much better than a $10,000 DUI.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we're telling you. We're just doing this for fun because we're at home.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't traveling anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. So when I blow on this thing, I don't have to worry about driving. I'm just doing it to find out how it affects me. And I started off at whatever I said. What was I at, Chris, when we started? 0.03
Come on,
something?
I'm having trouble.
I can't
I
remember.
literally just wrote down my B8 my
Yeah, but
number.
I'm still drinking, so I'm not going to be able to take a test for a while because I got
Okay.
this. I got one more beer to drink. But since Chris has stopped, I guess I got to keep drinking. But all right,
Yeah, well, I mean,
now
I'm sitting here at
you're at Trek
Trek
Brewing.
Brewing.
Yeah, look at John. John's
John's
playing on
over
his
here.
phone. He should be brewing, shouldn't he? What the hell is wrong with that guy?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Chris. Well, let's go into our new and noteworthy beers. Do you want to start or you want me to start?
Sure. I'll hop into this one.
Okay.
So the first beer on my list from our new and noteworthy beers is going to be one of the beers that I got from Cigar City's El Catador Club, which was their Primordial Unity. Gave this
Okay.
beer a 4.5 cap rating, and it was very simply on the outside of the label, bourbon barrel aged Imperial Stout. All right.
There you go.
Well, and I appreciate simplicity when it comes to beers too, whether it's barrel aged or an Imperial Stout or a rye PA or Cascadian, whatever you want to call it, right? So this one, I remember this one specifically. I was laying in bed drinking a snifter. Well, kind of what a snifter looks like. Drinking a snifter of this beer, watching Dexter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we're in season like 6. Like Dexter's sister just found out about it. Spoiler alert. Anyway, so this beer,
Me, his wife.
chocolatey. No. That was like season 3. His wife's dead, by the way. If you want to, another spoiler alert. Anyway, so this one just it was chocolatey and roasty, and then you had some vanilla and oak from the barrel. Just all around very good, simple but very good all at the same time. So the Primordial Unity from Cigar City, 4.5 caps for this beer. And then the second beer I have on my list is the honeyed one from High Hops Brewery. I believe they're in Colorado.
Mm.
This was a red ale,
Mm.
and I do enjoy a good red ale. And this I was reading the honeyed one. I was reading the can, and this one was from the same people that gave me this lovely bottle opener, the original Craft Beer Club, craftbeerclub.com. It was I'm over 21. Yeah. So this was a sweet red ale brewed with nugget hops and honey malt. And they made it very clear that the beer does not contain any honey. 7.1%, just nugget hops, California ale yeast, and it was a little on the sweet side, but in a good way, right?
Okay.
So a red ale normally a little more bitter, a little malty. This one was a little more sweet, like it almost had honey in it, but it didn't.
Okay.
And I drank it. Now, my wife Megan, not really a big fan of hops, but she really enjoyed this one too. And I gave this one a 4.25 rating as far as my new and noteworthy beers.
Nice.
Now, Denny, just like you, I have a very short list this week,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Me too. Yeah.
What about you? Let's hear about some of your new and noteworthy beers.
All right. So my new and noteworthy beers are pretty limited, just like Chris's was. I only have 2. But the first one I want to talk about is a very good beer. And if you can get Almanac Brewing in your area, I recommend looking for Almanac Beer Company's Boost Coffee Stout. This is what I wrote about this beer is coffee aroma is nice. And when I say nice, I mean it's there, but subtle and not in a attacking like like an aggressive way. It's just pleasantly there. The flavor is even better. Complements the rich dark chocolate flavor and roasty malts. Really smooth and delicious, but I expect no less from Almanac. Just what I needed to kick off the weekend. I gave this a 4.5 cap rating. And again, Almanac to me is Almanac Beer Company. I love their sour beers. They make, in my opinion, the best sour beers in the country. But when they step in, it's just like Revision, right? Revision makes good hazy IPAs, but even when they step out of the hazy and make something different, their style is really good. And this is the same way. Almanac makes great beer, whether it's an IPA, a coffee stout, or a sour. They're all good. So that's a 4.5 cap rating. So if you can get Boost Coffee Stout, go grab it. It's really a well done coffee stout. Now, I remember I said I was going to reduce my adjunct beers this year. I'm trying. I really am trying. I'm drinking a lot of non-adjunct beers, a lot of real beer, a lot less IPAs, except for this week. I'm drinking a lot more IPAs. But I have been drinking a lot of German beers and a lot of styles that don't have any adjuncts, and I am enjoying it. And the last beer is a beer that maybe people are surprised to see me list because they're no longer really an independent brewery, but it's New Belgium Brewing, and they just are celebrating their 30th anniversary. And I mentioned this on the Fermented Reality Beer Cast that when I first saw this 6-pack of cans, I saw New Belgium Wild Ride, and I saw 30th anniversary beer. So I was just, and I saw amber in the style. And when I saw amber, I thought, oh, it must be like a special blend of their Fat Tire, right? Fat Tire is an amber ale. It's their, what I would say was their flagship beer for that brand, right?
Yeah.
New Belgium, you're known for Fat Tire. I thought, well, maybe it's a twist on the Fat Tire amber ale recipe that made it special. So I grabbed it thinking, okay, it's not an IPA because I didn't want an IPA. I go and pour it. I take my first sip and I was caught off guard because I'm like, whoa, this is not an amber ale. This is an IPA. But it was an IPA that was what it's being classified as a red IPA, which I love red IPAs because red IPAs typically will add some of that malt character in there. So you get some of that malty, I want to, I'm torn on how to describe that malt character. It's kind of nutty, but not like, like a nut brown. It's like maybe a not even hazelnut, maybe um, Brazil nut, like a Brazil nut type nuttiness, like that, buttery, like kind of a buttery, malt character, but not like diacetyl, but like a rich, I don't know, kind of toffee, buttery, like mixture between like a
Caramel. Yeah.
caramel, but
I get that a lot too.
maybe it's a caramel. Maybe it's like a buttery caramel, but not diacetyl. I hate diacetyl beers. It has nothing to do with diacetyl. It's a fleshy. Oh, fleshy. Maybe that's it. Like a fleshy malt character with a nice floral IPA finish. Very pleasant. Really like this beer a lot. I had a 6-pack of it and it's gone. I drank it all. I gave it a 4 cap rating. And let me see what I said on here if I can get my phone up. I said, so when I bought this, I read 30th anniversary amber and missed the India Pale Ale after. So I was surprised when I tasted a very good IPA, a bit of citrusy tropical hop with a bit of toasted malt, and I was impressed. Happy anniversary, New Belgium. So it surprised me. I'm all for having IPAs surprise me, and this one did, and it was very enjoyable. And I think Joel mentioned that it's very similar to maybe a Nugget Nectar that Trogs.
Yep.
Yeah, I had to remember what Trogs Brewery puts out in their IPA or Pale Ale or whatever that Nugget Nectar is. And I've never had that beer, so I don't know if it's similar. But it sounds like Joel understood what I was saying and kind of related to the same thing. So if you see it, go grab it because it's a one. I don't think they're going to release. I mean, maybe they'll keep it going past 30th anniversary, but I think it's a limited release. And that's why I bought it. Is I don't want to miss out on something that is celebrating a milestone of a brewery that may not be the same brewery it was 10 years ago, but is still worthy of celebrating. And New Belgium is still worthy of celebrating, in my opinion. So
I will agree. I will
Yeah.
totally agree.
But I don't buy as much New Belgium as I did 10 years ago. I mean,
No.
I have like 2 rows of New Belgium beers that are unique. I mean, when you're pumping out all kinds of unique beers, and I don't see them, they're not doing it anymore. At least they're not distributing to Boise, if they are. Maybe they're keeping them local and they're doing all these very unique one-off beers, but I don't see them here. They're doing Voodoo Ranger bullshit. Yeah.
You don't see them out all the way out there?
No, I mean, I don't see the unique ones. I see
the
Voodoo Ranger. Ones. All I see is Voodoo Ranger, their triple, their normal stuff that they always release. I don't see their La Folie and their all these special beers I have on my wall right here. I mean, I love those beers. I grab them every time they came out. I grab a bottle because I love their saisons. I love their all those unique beers they did. I never see them anymore. All I see is Voodoo Ranger, and then they'll pull out a triple. They'll pull out, some of their mainstream ones, but not these unique one-offs that came in 22-ounce bottles in the past. They don't do anymore, at least not coming to Boise.
Interesting.
And that's sad because that's what I loved them for, was their unique Foeder, like all their special sours and their Foeder beers they did.
Right.
Those are the ones that I really appreciated. All right, so those are my new and noteworthy. 2 beers from me, 2 from Chris. Cut simple,
And dry.
easy going. All right, Chris. Well, I said it was going to be a short show, and we're already an hour and a half. So let's close this thing out. But before we do it, let's give a toast to who'd like to give a toast to.
So I would love to raise a glass, actually, to my old boss, Valerie Scruggs, or as I know her, Val Ritzert. I used to work with her at Western Reserve Academy in Hudson, Ohio. She turns 50 today. Val, happy birthday to you.
Yeah. Thanks to welcome to the club.
Yeah, I hope you have an absolutely wonderful birthday.
Cheers to 50.
Cheers to you. Denny, who would you like to raise a glass to?
Well, for a Patreon, I like to always raise a glass to a Patreon supporter. I have Mike Allen as our Patreon supporter this week, but you know what? Because Jeff is the only one left in our Facebook Live. Cheers to you, Jeff Seiler, for sticking around and being a super supporter of our show. I really appreciate it. So cheers to you, Jeff. And also, today I was home. We're refinancing our home just because the interest rates are so low. I'm going to pay this house off in 8 years. I might as well pay less interest while I do it.
Yep.
So a home inspector came, or home appraiser came and walked through the house. And as he was walking through, he came into this fortress of solitude or beatitude. And I'm telling you, he was amazed. He kept looking at the bottles and saying, wow, you've got quite a collection, and I started talking, yeah, I do a craft beer podcast. And I gave him a card and he said, yeah, I'm really interested. I want to go ahead and listen. So Ron, if you do indeed follow through and listen, cheers to you. Thank you for coming out and praising my house. And I hope you enjoy the show and write into us. Let us know how you like it. We appreciate that. And the last toast I want to give out is to my daughter, Haley. Her 26th birthday is coming up in 9 days. I guess it's early. She's here celebrating right now. But in 9 days, she turns 26. So cheers to you, Haley. Happy birthday.
Cheers, Haley. Happy birthday.
All right. And of course, being a former serviceman, I always want to raise my glass and thank all those who have served and who are currently serving in the U.S. military services, protecting our freedoms. Thank you for your service, and please return home safely to your families very soon. And Chris, could you please raise a glass to our sponsors?
I certainly can. And you know what? We need to do another giveaway with them. Maybe next show. So keep an eye out on our Facebook. We're going to give you the criteria on that so you can win a $20 gift card from the folks at Brewer Shirts. At the forefront of the craft beer movement, Brewer Shirts was one of the first to create apparel that celebrates the art of brewing and the love of fine beer. Never too trendy, always comfortable, and offering affordable quality, they screen print their gear by hand in their studio using eco-friendly inks, materials, and processes. Visit their online store at brewershirts.com and use the coupon code TAPTHECRAFT2020 to receive 15% off full-priced items.
All right. And you can find the beers and the links to the articles I mentioned in our Brew Buzz on the show post, located on the show notes, located on the show post at tapthecraft.com. Well, that's a mouthful.
Just a little.
Especially after drinking a few beers.
Right. And I got to get this in now. Alexa, how much time is left on my timer? 7 minutes. Let's go ahead and do this. So while you're reading
go ahead
that,
and do
we'll
go ahead
do
and
this.
do it. I'm going to keep reading, and then you can just give us your announcement. Okay.
Yep. All
right. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped at Loose Screw. And Chris can be found at Chris_McKinsey82 on Twitter or on Untapped.
I can't see.
And
you find me on
Instagram
Untapped. Yep. Untapped and Instagram at MCK1345. And of course, you can always. It went up a 1,000%.
You're a beast, man. That alcohol can't fight you.
And again, I am not driving right now.
You're the Godzilla in Godzilla versus Kong.
And and also you guys can always find me on all of our things social at Tap the Craft, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, all YouTube, Twitter, and all those good things.
All right. It is last call. Time to bring the show to a close. We want to thank you for downloading and, of course, listening. And we ask you to please tell a friend and, of course, subscribe on all your favorite podcast apps like iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn, Google Play, Castbox, Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now Amazon Podcasts, or however you listen to your podcasts. And as a reminder, we do release a new show every 2 weeks. Now go out there and spread the good word of craft beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.